Ready when you are.
All right. Good evening, everyone. So we are here today for the HR committee meeting on Monday, January 6th, 2025, and we want to call this meeting to order. Are there any public comments on the agenda?
Currently not at this time.
All right, so I'll turn it over to Michelle.
Did you mean to say February 3rd?
Oh, sorry. That says January 6th. I was looking at that, so thank you. Yes, February 3rd, January 2025. Correction for the record. Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us this evening. This meeting and presentation was supposed to take place at the January 6th HR committee meeting, but due to the snow, we are here tonight to talk to you about the Black Men in Education Convening Conference that all of us here on this end of the table have attended. The convention took place on November 21st through 23rd, 2024 at the Lowe's Hotel. This is the 7th year in a row for this conference that's been hosted. And at this year's conference, over 1,000 participants were in attendance nationwide. I'm going to ask Dr. Melissa Figueroa Douglas to take it from here and talk a little bit about the conference itself and all that was there. Go for it.
Awesome. Good evening, everyone. So it was a great experience. Obviously, I'm not a Black male, but I am an educator, and I also understand that in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, there is less than 1% of Black male educators. So the impact to create a space for our Black male educators, some of our Black male educators, to collaborate and share ideas around education, to attend exceptionally well-planned plenary sessions and breakout sessions. Those breakout sessions included nationally renowned speakers, but beyond that, also students that are interested in being future educators. So HBCUs were represented there. Morehouse was represented at a high level. They were there in their maroon blazers and also facilitated some breakout sessions. They brought a special guest with them, Chris Weber, who is a huge supporter of education as his mother was an educator. So it was just amazing to see. It was a great opportunity to be immersed in that and to see Black male educators convene from all parts of our nation and offer great resources, support, and professional learning for our educators. So it was just a great time. I'm hoping next year that we can also participate and probably bring some more Black male educators and other educators to participate in this profound experience. As you can see, we had representation from each grade band. So we have elementary, we have the 4-5, we have the middle school, and we have the high school. So it was important that we have that. We also have teachers in the classroom, we have counselors, and we have administrators here. And it was important that we all have the opportunity to be immersed in that great learning. Again, opportunities of collaboration. I can go on, but I want to also provide an opportunity for our dynamic educators to speak as well. So,
all right, I guess I'll go first. Good evening, it's good to see you all. I'm Christopher Lashley. I'm the Assistant Principal and Athletic Director here at Colonial Middle School. When I tell you how dynamic this conference was as a Black male educator and now a Black male leader, I had an opportunity to sit in some plenary sessions where I had a chance to really dig into how to digest data. I had opportunities to network with principals of the year for Pennsylvania. I had an opportunity just to break bread with some awesome individuals that just poured into me. A lot of times we continue to pour out as educators and as leaders, so it was great to finally have somebody pour back in and to refill that picture so I can continue to pour out. I look forward to hopefully more opportunities in the future to be able to go and partake in some of these opportunities. But when I tell you, like Dr. Figueroa Douglas said, less than 1%. So to be in there with all those individuals from across the nation, it wasn't just Pennsylvania, there across the nation, it was a great opportunity to really just soak up all that information, knowledge, and mentorship. So thank you for the opportunity.
Awesome. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Floyd Miller. I teach at the 4-5 building. Thank you for the opportunity to go and witness such a great event. It was my first time being at a conference with that magnitude. There was a ton of people, over 1,000 educators in the building. They were well-dressed, well-spoken. It was just a vibe that you couldn't forget. It was a great experience. But one of my take-home experiences from there, two of them. One was I had the opportunity to sit in a session with he was a mathematician from England, and his role in England was to come up with solutions to complex problems while using his mathematics skills. So for instance, he had created, he had used several algorithms for example, to create a ship that was able to dock within England's. I'm sorry, I'm dragging it, but whatever the case, he created a ship which the Royal Navy needed in order to have several planes land on it, but it was still small enough to function because the space that they had to work with within the dock was just so tight. And he ended up getting like a Royal Medal of Honor and all types of accolades from the Queen of England because of his work not with the tools or not with the materials building the ship, but the mathematics that it took to create the ship. And it was nice because, and touching on my second point, we've been really emphasizing clarity in the classroom. We've had a lot of PD days making these real world connections and making sure that the math makes sense to our students. So it was nice to be there and witness someone who's been doing that consistently. This wasn't his only project, but this is what he does. He uses mathematics to solve real world problems. So thank you for that opportunity.
Thanks.
Hello, my name is Cortland Jackson. I teach the second grade at Conshohocken Elementary. I'm also a native to the Colonial School District with my brother. We were born and raised in Conshohocken, as well as went through the district, and now we both return full circle. But thank you for the opportunity to go out and to just go to this conference. It was very, I'll start off by saying it was inspirational because, as they mentioned earlier, there's such a small percentage of African American males in this profession. And with most things in life, people are influenced in one way or another. So seeing that many educators in one space, it inspired me to maintain here, right? To do more within, the realm of the space that I'm provided, because it's important, right? We have been influenced by our parents, by those within arm's reach to us, but also from what we see in our everyday life on the TV and whatnot. So to be in a space where you're seeing people who look like you doing positive things, it uplifted me. It made me feel good about, the role that I'm in, and just not in education, but just in life, to be that influence to not only the young children that look like me, but also the children who don't look like me, because we go through a life where, there's people base a lot of things off of race, right? There's a lot of stereotypes. And so when everybody can see, in this case, an African-American male in a positive light, it really does something to reconstructing your perspective and how you perceive others. And, it just made me feel good to be in that space and to learn from people, because I don't have that opportunity being K-3 in this district, because I'm the only African-American male. But so for me to be at this conference, it was like, wow, I've been yearning for this, for these mentors, even though it was a short period of time, I've been yearning for it and whatnot. But I will say, from K-12 being here, there was only several African-American educators, right? To now, for as long as Dr. Christian's been here, I've seen more, as we spoke at the last meeting, you know, there's still ways to go, but I mean, this is the most that I've seen. And I'm like, it makes me feel comfortable. It makes me feel good coming to, you know, the back to school meetings in the auditorium and seeing more people that look like me. You know, at the conference, they pretty much started the morning panel off with a bunch of doctors who just pretty much spoke about their experiences and their walks through, you know, their educational experiences in schools that are predominantly Black or schools that are not, right? And a few things I took away from them were knowing who you are, understanding how you're perceived and how to move forward with that, as well as calculating your risk, right? And how much your attitude about where you are and what you're doing affects you, not only as a person, but the educator, because your attitude determines your latitude, but it also is either going to influence your students and provide them with opportunities, one way or the other, going in a great direction or a not so great direction. And, you know, I think that stuck with me the most during that morning panel, because like I had to deal, like my attitude growing up, it was, had to work on it like everybody does, right? But when I matured and I came into this professional space, I was like, well, I'm excelling, and I really had to take a step back and reflect, and it was because of my attitude, right? Because for one, how do I look at myself? How do I look at the others who I'm working with? And that really catapulted me heading in the right direction, because I can thrive now in this space where not everybody looks like me, where not everybody is from the same culture, you know? And going off of culture, I was in one PD, and the guy pretty much in short just said, infusing your culture within the educational space is important. Going back off of what I said, because it influences kids, it helps them learn more, and your latitude also depends off of what you know, right? And if we're not being taught necessarily what's right or what's the truth, then we're limited in a sense. And being limited is, it's like, I forget who said it, oh, don't get me. It's just like letting the mind is a terrible thing to waste, you know? If you don't have the knowledge to catapult you and to put you in the right spaces so that you can move forward, it's like a car with no gas. In this case, you know, Tesla's car with no electricity, but you get what I'm saying. But overall, you know, I was just inspired. I was happy, you know, to walk into the auditorium and to see a thousand of people that look like me. You know, it gave me that extra boost that I needed to just fuel my educational career. So, you know, thank you for that. And it was very rewarding for myself, and I know for these gentlemen as well, and everybody who attended. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'm Christopher Jackson. I'm a guidance counselor at the high school. And let the record show, my brother took most of the things I was going to say.
Isn't that what twins do?
Nothing new.
I have some more. We compiled our notes together. So.
I definitely share the same sentiment as everyone else. I thought that conference was nothing short of amazing. To see other educators that look like me was truly inspiring. It was influential. I was in shock when I walked, like most of us, when we walked into that auditorium, and it was just educators of all different ages, walks of life. But they were there, and it seemed like everyone was there for a common goal, right? To learn from one another and to spread what we learned to our youth. And I think it would be a sin if we didn't take our children there next year. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of boys at school who I think would benefit from seeing other men in positive and impactful positions, right? I think they would truly benefit from seeing that. Maybe they get inspiration to do that, right? it was truly amazing. I like talking to, me and Court had lunch with a few people, and some of the elders there were just simply amazing. They were influential. They were just talking about how they started in education and where they are now. And some of the struggles that they went through, however they persevered, and they stuck to the goal and the plan, which was to teach and educate and, prevent a lot of these kids, our kids, right, especially black boys, from going down the school to prison pipeline, because that was big. And we were in one breakout session that discussed that and how that can be prevented. But here in this district, we have plenty of resources to prevent kids who grow up in that kind of situation with those characteristics from getting to prison, right? Cortland and I didn't grow up in the greatest situation growing up. However, our school was a safe haven for us. This district really helped us out, right? But by providing more individuals that look like those kids who were in that space, right, who may go through that, I think it's very impactful to let them know that, hey, you don't have to act this way. You don't have to be like that just because you're growing up this way. You can move on to the next level in life. You can persevere. You can get through that thing. So I think representation matters. I think that's what that the conference really spoke about. But I think next year, I think it'd be a sin if we didn't take at least 10 kids down there to witness, to experience that.
We can absolutely do that.
And there were students there
Yeah,
as well?
there were.
That's awesome.
There were many
that's-
students.
Great amount of
that's
students.
awesome.
There were many
Great
students
amount of
there.
students.
Absolutely.
There were some students that participated in some of the breakout sessions
Yeah,
that were
yes.
able to speak
I
to their own
know,
experiences.
Norristown, I didn't meet that. I think Norristown had a few kids speak there.
Awesome.
Okay.
Neighbors
They
school
did.
district, so
Yeah.
It's terrific.
And that's a great segue. I just want to plug one more thing in, if I may. What everyone described in one way or another is what we call mirrors, like seeing yourself in the work that you do. And how that is really a tenet, a pillar of belonging. So in a sense, you were able to be reinvigorated, re-energized, and build some more capacity around momentum because of that affinity space that was created there. So I just wanted to share that, and also thank the board for this opportunity.
We appreciate you guys
And
for that.
Thank you so
yes,
much.
and also the pipeline, like when I think about the prize initiative, there are so many different approaches that Dr. Christian and leaders have, the board has, to ensure that we help remedy the national shortage of teachers that we have here. So thank you for those opportunities.
Thank you guys so much.
Questions for the team?
More so a comment, I don't have any questions, because I think everyone has rounded up, and my insides are burning for good reasons. And just, thank you all for just willing to go, and to bring back such great feedback, and the ask of bringing students. I am, if you've ever heard me say it, but I'm very, very keen. Melissa's heard me, Dr. Figueroa Douglas has heard me say this many, many times, is that the voice of our students is very important.
Absolutely.
And we need to, we need to hear from them. And by them attending, I think you're right, they're gonna come back and they're gonna be re-energized, and they're gonna be, willing to do better. And so, Simon Sinek says that if we do 1%, just 1% better every day, and even if they just get that by attending one conference, that's a milestone for them. And so I just appreciate you all, and then some of what you were saying, right, I think should be the norm. Like, I grew up in Philly, and even growing up in Philly, I still only saw one black male teacher. I had one black male teacher, who was my math teacher, everybody, who said mathematician, yes, who was my math teacher. And even though I feel like I was a good student, I gave him a hard time. And it wasn't until I became an adult when I really appreciated it, because my kids didn't have that. And so I appreciated having that outside of my home experience of having a black male teacher. So just thank you for your willingness to participate in this conference.
I have a couple things to say. Appreciate you guys for being in this district. And we've had many parents reach out and want more, and you're stepping in and filling that void, right? So, one thing, when you guys were talking about the conference, it just kind of took me back. So I took my son David to Morehouse this summer, and like just the experience, that new student orientation, it sounds very much like what you guys were able to glean from this conference. I mean, he took away so much. I mean, as a parent, I was like, my kid's safe. Like, you know, just seeing kids running, playing, and no one looking like, oh, are they getting into something? Are they doing something right? So that's key, right? And one thing is like, I keep thinking like, you know, you mentioned the school to prison pipeline, and it's like, we need to create a new pipeline. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
school to school pipeline, like, you know, we need more educators, and people, you know, need to realize like, we were doing a lot more things in Africa than just being taken, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? There were all types of people, engineers,
Yeah.
teachers.
Absolutely.
So it's still in us, right?
Absolutely.
The other thing is, did you get a chance to recruit?
I mean,
Yeah.
I'll say this, like, everybody who I spoke to was either from like Texas or the Maryland area, you know, so they were so widespread where they were in PA, I would say,
Oh.
Yeah.
And it's always in Philadelphia, correct? Like, is that
Yes.
the only places? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I did tell Dr. Figueroa Douglas that stay very close to our staff.
So that-
I think it's great that we're going to the conference. I do not want to lose any of our
There's a different kind of
employees.
energy you can put out, you know, like, you wanna put out the type that says, hey, you know, we want you to come here, you know what I mean? So, that's all I had, like, and I just feel like, sometimes it's hard for our kids to shed, some of those not so pleasant cultural norms that are thrown on them,
Yeah.
like, oh, you're not supposed to be good at math, or if you study hard, you're like, you know, Poindexter or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, so I appreciate you guys stepping in the gap to help them shed that. And, you know, if they can get outside of this, like you said, you want to take them there, if they can get outside of this where their friends are like, oh, you don't want to do that, can't really influence them like that, I think that that's a great thing.
And just if I could add just a super quick story. So I have a student, because you spoke on Morehouse, and so did you. But I have a student who was really, he was involved in music, and he wanted to quit playing his instrument. He said he was, you know, he just didn't like it, or whatever the case. And I had a conversation with his mom. His mom didn't want him to quit, but he wanted to quit. And so I had offered the student to come to my classroom. It was a young brother. He came in. I said, why do you want to quit your instrument? He was just like, oh, to practice. I don't really like the sound of it, this and that. And I was like, all right, let's watch a video and then let me know how you feel after. No pressure. So I took it from a cultural perspective, so I said, let's try seeing what a HBCU marching band looks like with this instrument. And so we watched the video. I don't know which school it was. I just picked one of the top videos on YouTube. And after that, he was like really enthusiastic about playing the instrument.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I had talked to his mother maybe a few weeks later, and she said, oh, he does want to change his instrument, but now he wants to play the instrument that you played, which was the saxophone. So now he plays the saxophone currently. I checked with him. It seems like he likes it, but like just for him to see, like, it's not only, you know, this band or orchestra, like there's other ways you can use the instrument, and like culturally this might connect a little more with it.
Oh, that's nice. My son plays trombone, and just one semester down there, he's playing a whole lot different. Yeah. I'll talk to you guys about it.
Yeah, HBCU band is different.
Oh,
It's
absolutely.
very
Absolutely.
different.
Absolutely.
It's very different.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I just want to say thank you for going and bringing back all this positive energy. I'm hoping that you not only bring students next year with you, but maybe present yourselves. It sounds like, from what you've pulled away in your own teaching experiences, you have a lot to also gift to other educators as well. They could learn from you as well. No pressure, of course.
I'll let Courtney.
Teacher here, it's what I do, just give out assignments randomly. No, seriously. And something struck me earlier, I think it was you, Mr. Miller, you said something about, or maybe it was one of the twins. But one of you said something about being present for the students who aren't even the same cultural group as you. And I think that's really important, because one of the things I've heard a lot from students who are religious minorities is that even having an ethnic minority teacher, crosses some gaps and some bridges for them. So it is really important that you're here, and I'm hoping, from this conference, we learn how to not only recruit but retain such talent and spread it around. So I'm very excited, very, very excited. I don't think I'm gonna sleep tonight, so. So this is good.
So I just, thank you for speaking. Did they, from the conference, did you get any takeaways that you're like, I can't wait to try this with my kids, or with your classes, or with your students that come to council? Like, did you get any takeaways either with mentoring or trying to, I don't know, recruiting kids, helping kids to find that connection to any career, actually, out of whatever pipeline they might be headed.
Well, I'll say this, I've been to one mathematics one, well, it was an instructional practice one, right? And he was just talking about, or providing an example of how he does different weekly challenges for his students to motivate them. And it's like, it's not even a reward base, it's just more so, it's that intrinsic reward that they get when they complete a challenge or whatnot. And so, I'm K to 3, I teach the 2nd grade, so I'm trying to figure out how I can do that on a smaller scale for them. I mean, my kids love, the challenges or things of that nature, but I want to do it where it's more, his was more so planned out throughout the entire school year. So I'm trying to see how I can do it that way. But a mentoring program, I think was the last breakout session I went to. Dr. Kalafi was talking about how at his school in Jersey, he has mentor programs where he has a good amount of fathers of his students come in, like, beginning of the month, end of the month, who sit with the kids for about an hour. They'll have breakfast, they'll talk, they'll teach them skills, that they may not necessarily get being at home with a single parent mother, if that may be the case, or whatever it may be. So, I mean, I've been thinking about a mentor program, and I really feel like that could be beneficial with students in the 2nd grade or whatnot. But, yes, to your point, I am thinking about that. That was a big takeaway, because it's like, yes, educating them is one thing, but also how do you prepare them to walk through the world as who they are? You know what I mean? That's just as important, right? It's not just about the skills they're learning in school. It's not even survival skills to me. I don't even like to say survival skills, because when I think of survival, I think of, how am I going to make it day to day? I'm thinking of skills that allow you to thrive, right? To flourish. And I feel like when you're thriving or flourishing, you have more time to teach that to someone else or to other people. So I think that ripple effect turns into a larger wave that can really impact more people. So, yeah.
Thanks. And I have one more question. Outside of like this meeting, are you all planning to pull together for like action planning, or have you done that already in terms of collaboration across the schools. I know that it's different by the grade level, but there still are some similarities in which you all can share. So has that been discussed in terms of some form of action planning?
So we've started discussing about utilizing the EIB leadership team for that, since they're already embedded in planning. And so Christopher Lashley is on the team, and we were able to meet several times to kind of just understand the different perspectives and takeaways. So we do plan to include that with our turnaround EIB training that already happens throughout the school year.
That's great, awesome. So we would, speak for everybody, love to hear you guys come back and give us an update on kind of some of the takeaways and then how it's manifested here at Colonial School District. So again, just thank you.
I'm sorry.
You were gonna say?
Yes, I was just gonna add, I also went to a session that was specifically on artificial intelligence, and I did just join the artificial intelligence committee for our school district, and it really got my wheels going as far as how to utilize it within the schools, because like we're not only competing with children, at least for the students in my age group, but it can apply across setting. We're not competing with, friends and relationships, but also the attention spans that stem from technology use and the other things going on throughout society for them. So in this AI session, they had different ways that you could use certain programs to basically rewrite the tests that the students take, and you could have the AI programming program the test to basically focus on let's say they like Minecraft, or basketball, the Eagles. We could reprogram, or we could reformat the test and basically have it catered to specific likes and dislikes of students, so they don't disengage from the actual test. Right, and so I was like what? Wow. So this, just being able to pull in students to want to do the test, instead of a test day, wow, I wonder what this test is going to be about, just kind of draw more enthusiasm into the classroom for assessments. I thought was a great takeaway. So it's something, once I talk with the committee and pull the link and we see if it's going to be a good resource for us to use, hopefully that's something I can bring back to the district from that.
That's neat.
That is amazing.
And I think from the leadership side, it was a great opportunity to kind of dive into goal setting and mindset shifting. Really working with teachers on, because one of our initiatives is small group instruction right now, right? And the biggest piece of small group instruction is having the moments with those smaller interviews with that individual student to have that goal setting. Dr. Lahara had a great session on kind of breaking down how we use the data to have those conferences with those individuals, and then using that information to set up your small groups, and then having that goal setting process. So it was a wonderful session that I have been using in some of our team leaders sessions and stuff like that with the 6th grade teams. So it's great information that I have been trying to slowly turn around, because I didn't want to just throw it at them all at one time, but slowly trying to roll it out, not to scare them away from the whole goal setting process. But it's been that session was game changing for me as a new building leader to really kind of shift the mindset for instruction.
Our strategy, go ahead, Ray, I'm sorry. Our strategy with increasing the diversity in our staff has been going on since 2018. It's really multifaceted in an environment where you have 40 to 50 suburban school districts who all have the goal to become more diverse in their faculty and their employment population, and it's 1% of our teaching staff are African American males, right? So the math doesn't connect. So our focus has been twofold, really. One, and I'm not shy about it, if we see talent in another district and we're fortunate enough to know that that talent has a connection to Colonial School District. When the opportunity strikes, we're gonna take advantage of that, right? And so that's one, that's one approach. Two is, helping develop student teachers, homegrown talent. Floyd student taught here, we lost you for a little while, and then Rose and I had a plan, and we were gonna come get you back.
Even my
And-
daughter's student teacher.
And so, all kidding aside, you can do all that, and that gives you great short-term gains, right? It enables me to say we've gone from 2 or 3 teachers of color up to 20-some teachers of color over a 5-6 year period, which is nice, but we have work to do. But if you don't have support from Dr. Figueroa Douglas, Mrs. O'Reilly, the principals, really, it's not, very little to do with my office, but we all have to have the same theme and believe what we're doing, right? Believe in the mission of the district, believe in what we're doing for kids, and not to sound too pious, it's sort of just making sure that we're all pulling the same direction. Because you can do a lot of short-term stuff, but that doesn't create that systemic change that we're all trying to do. So, we met, we had a Zoom before we had this meeting, and the feedback was great, because what I heard was, we're doing some good things here in Colonial. We've made some strides. We have work to do, and we acknowledge that. And I'm 56, it's an ongoing process, right? And someday when I grow up, we'll have it figured out. But I've seen each one of these gentlemen interact with kids, and the connections they make with kids are very positive, very engaging, enriching, and makes them good educators, because they may teach elementary, they may teach math, maybe administrators, but they teach kids. That's the commonality, and that's what we have to remember as our goal in the district. So you guys make us look good just because you're great people and great educators, and that's what we want. We have to have that match with our students.
Thank you.
I want to say, give you guys yourselves credit for what you do. I'm more familiar with Mr. Chris only because my daughter's in high school and she comes home and I've had to tell her, like, chill, he's not your counselor. I think she stalks you in the hallway.
She's great. She's great.
But like, I get it, but you gotta, you have to chill. You can't be everyone. So yeah, just give you guys the credit that you deserve as well for what you do, here on a day-to-day basis.
Appreciate that.
I think too, don't necessarily, and I don't think you do this, but don't underestimate the value or the change that you can bring in kids that don't look like you. You talked about that, the kids don't, because there's a lot of scenarios where kids that don't look like you don't get a chance to interact and have a
Right.
relationship with someone
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
you, and that can change their perspective generations ahead. So,
It
I
could
mean,
change
I
a
think
stereotype that they're learning in the house.
That's what,
Yeah.
right,
Right.
right.
Especially
So
with the
it-
negative connotation attached to it. Like I said, I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah, so, I mean, I went to school in Philly, I went to high school in Philly, and like, there was never, in my eyes anyway, maybe I was just really naive, but like, there was never, we didn't see kids as different. Like, whether you were Indian, Asian, Black, or whatever, like, we were all in school together, we were just classmates. And I know that is not the case in a lot of other education environments, and so I think the impact that you have on every student, you guys are terrific in how you interact, because you're not just interacting, and you see the kids in the hallways, you're interacting with all the kids in the hallways. And so,
Absolutely.
like, you can totally change someone's perspective, or give them a perspective they never would have seen before. And I do appreciate that.
Thank you.
Dr. Christian did a lot of what the question was going to ask is it just being a male teacher in K through 3? You're sort of a minority there.
Yeah.
And kids are naturally going to gravitate to people who make them feel comfortable
Absolutely.
and places they recognize themselves. And as a board, our job is to make sure you guys are supported and have the access to, like, you're getting extra burden from kids who are like, this is the only teacher in the district that looks like me, or this is the only teacher that understands, like, and go to the conference is there, and as you guys progress, if there's other things as a board we can do to support that, if that can trickle up. I know it's a vision, but sometimes, like, being a good teacher is a full-time, 24/7, 365 job, and then being a role model is also, like, and the other responsibilities and burdens on there, and just the ability to, like, if there are things we can do better as a district, if they can get to us at the board level, that's helpful.
Appreciate that as well.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you so much. One of the things that Melissa and I discovered at the conference too is there were some tables of recruiting districts, none of which were Pennsylvania, but there were a lot from New York City, surprisingly, and we decided that we need to be one of those tables at the next conference, so we hope to do that as well. And I certainly want to thank our team. You guys are amazing, and I appreciate you taking the time and wanting to participate in the conference and representing our district so positively. I was proud of all of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Are there other similar conferences? Not local or?
Question.
I've never been to a conference that big.
I want to say like that's the one that is nationally,
Most prominent.
yeah, it would be the most prominent one in this area. So there was also one happening, I want to say like in Florida, but locally, it's the Black Male Educators Convening Conference that is the resource at the time.
Yeah.
Is it always in Philly?
It's always in Philadelphia.
That's great. Thank you guys for attending.
Welcome.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you. Jojo.
Thank you so much.
Take care. Thank you.
And then
Joe, where is that conference? Where do I find that?
good night, thanks, Michelle.
Thank you.
Oh,
Are we done?
Michelle, hold on, we have to adjourn the meeting and.
Sorry.
Oh, do we?
Got real hype. Okay.
Thank you. Have a good night, guys. Thanks. Thank you for coming.
All right, so if there's no other, if there's no other questions, obviously the gentlemen are leaving, but is there any public comment?
Currently none at this time.
All right, so this meeting is adjourned at 6:44. Thank you.
Thank you. Later, Gator.
I don't blame you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's what I'm talking about male teachers. Yeah, they do.
I don't have anything that exciting to talk about.
You do, you got renovation updates.
Not that
We're-
exciting, come
We're
on.
excited about that too. I always forget when I ride past to look at the building, but this time, the other day, I did.
Exactly.
I'm gonna get you inside it now.
You said, you give me a sign, you
I said
said?
I'm gonna get you inside it now so you can say.
Okay, awesome.
Someone told me today, he's like, oh, they're cutting through glass, I watched them like lining up.
I was gonna say, one of the things I say is we're 100%
Just
sealed.
ask your mom a question.
All the windows are in.
No way. Hi, Joe.
I forgot to put a sign up sheet out. Okay. It was fine, Bob. I was just trying to get your attention to move their names up.
Yeah, I was like, what? Forwarding, I keep thinking emails.
Yeah. Did I say slides or emails?
It's all right. I thought you wanted to see their names up close.
Thank you. Bye.
Yes, it is adjourned.
So it is 6:46, and we would like to start the FNC meeting. Is there any public comment?
Currently none at this time.
All righty, so Joe?
Good evening, everyone. Two items on the agenda this evening. One is the Colonial Elementary School update. Again, just trying to give the board the rendering up top that was given to us probably about 18 months ago to kind of let you know that, how things are developing below. And like I mentioned to a few of the board members a moment ago, we are now 100% windowed closed. There's no more open windows, so that's a good sign. We put the last bit of sheetrock we took in through the lift today, and now we're done. So if you can go to the next slide, please. So again, this is just kind of showing you the front entrance of that building again to show you, if you're looking on the left-hand side at the bottom, that'll be the new entrance to the district office. So on that left side, you'll see that's where everyone will go into the new district office. And then you're seeing on the right, which is the old gym wall that was on that side, that will be Human Resources and Technologies offices on the first floor. Again, these are just highlighting the main entrance again, so you can kind of get an idea where you are, and that'll be the main entrance. And then at that point, you'll walk in, and there'll be Sharon, and we'll have lobby guard and everything right there. So everything will be kind of self-contained there. There's a nice waiting area. There's a restroom up there. So again, if anybody needs to get in, they'll have to get buzzed in, but they'll actually be in a safe, secure area until they get buzzed in. Again, this is the ramps on both sides of the building. So there's a ramp to get on the left-hand side is the ramp that will get you up on the left-hand side, and then on the right, that's the ramp coming out of the gym. That will now be a ramp that you can get down and around for students and or deliveries. Each one will be accessible.
No steps? No steps on either side?
There is steps on both. There's steps on both. Yep, there's steps and ramps. Yes, sir. Just taking a look at the new district offices again on the left, just taking a look at one of the views from the, again, I don't want to get everybody messed up with the compass, but if you're actually looking there, you're looking out, you're looking southwest in that picture out that window. And again, where Mark is, you're kind of looking kind of northeast. So you're just kind of moving that compass. And then on the far right, you're seeing the hallways and how much is done in the district office area. Slide, please. This is the area for, again, the building administration, so Dr. Rock and her team, for them to come downstairs. The restroom, the floor is done under the cardboard that's in that restroom picture. It's an epoxy floor, it's just cardboard there to protect it for the meantime while we're still getting some work done. But ceiling tiles and lightings were really heavy on finishes, so I have a little schedule at the end that I'll review with you to kind of let you know some benchmarks, to let you guys know what's going on. Next, please. So now you get to see how much progress we made, like in actual classrooms, like where clocks are going up, and you're actually seeing all the casework in all the classrooms on the first floor. It's all in. Whiteboards are in, bulletin boards are in, and you can see we're closing up ceilings on the far right with our speakers and our fire devices, and we're closing up with life safety. So making a lot of really good progress that we're happy with. If you go out in the hallway where you once saw the cases that were out there that were glass, all the lockers have been put in and they're in place. So again, another sign that we're getting closer and closer to our goal of achieving the educational wing, obviously first, and then completing the district office. This is, if you're familiar with CES, this is outside the cafeteria or across from the nurse's office. These are the restrooms. We added restrooms through the project. So it will benefit the students when they're out at recess. They'll have other options, and they got closer options when they're eating lunch. So these restrooms we will actually be opening this Friday. So I spoke with Ms. Rock, so they will open up this Friday.
Are the mirrors in the right place?
The mirrors are in the right place. The mirrors are in the right place. So again, lots of progress. Same with the floor. If you look at the middle picture, you can see the epoxy floor that's down behind the actual partitions. The fixtures are in place. They are installed. So again, lots of progress. The HVAC's done. The ceiling's up. The lights are. We got to get in there and do some final cleaning. And then what I do is I'll give a call to White Marsh Township, and then I start asking for, what do we call a temporary certificate of occupancy, so we can occupy certain areas till we get our full certificate of occupancy. Now here's some benchmarks just to kind of share with you. Like I said, by the end of the week, We're just calling it a turnover schedule, things we want to turn over and look to achieve, and we're very confident that this schedule is happening. So I don't like throwing dates around if we weren't confident that this is going to happen. So again, bathroom on the first floor that we just showed by the end of the week. Between 2/17 and 3/12, we will begin floor finishes. We may begin floor finishes as early as next week in speaking today. So that means carpet to the classrooms and starting to get those floor finishes done. Furniture delivery for the entire first floor, meaning the admin area for Dr. Rock and her team and all the classrooms is scheduled for March 10th. So the goal would be, again, that we would start punch list completion and final inspections by the end of March, with, again, a temporary certificate of occupancy saying 2/3 of the space, meaning that whole, what I keep calling the U, which was pupil services and district offices, that we would occupy that whole area. We would remove the temp wall that's down the one side. We've removed one of them already. So one of them is removed. If you're out by the old school store, on that side, that temp wall is removed, and now there's just one wall going across that area that's blocking, so you can't go into the construction area. No doorway, just a blocked wall. And again, removing the temp wall, we would like to, like over spring break, we'd like to move the main office from the second floor down to the first floor. And then when we come back, we'd like to turn that whole floor over to the school. Everything open 4/21. Again, that's really been a lot of progress, and we're confident this is happening. You know, we're really driving it home, and so the goal would be when we say 4/14. If anyone's getting anxiety of the dates, the goal would be, like I said, furniture coming 3/10. People could start to piecemeal coming down. So like Dr. Rockwood, they could piecemeal stuff down. So when we say they're moving on that date, that's the date that if they're going to make the final. So I've already spoken with Dr. Christian and Drew Bogley and his team about, you know, the technology that we got to get downstairs and the things we're going to need, because a couple of the classrooms to the left of the new admin area will be needed right away for the classroom area that gets taken on the second floor as part of that renovation. So that will allow us the opportunity then over spring break to hopefully start that demo, make a lot of noise while the kids aren't in, because then everything's going to go to night shift pretty much at that point. Okay? Again, really happy where it is. I don't want to jinx it. I knock on wood. I keep my lucky penny. I try everything I can because it's been a really good project so far from all phases. You know, financially, schedule-wise, so far so good. So.
Are we ahead of schedule?
Excuse me?
Are we ahead of schedule?
Again, I'm very reluctant to use that to say yes, but I think you can.
Confident, yes.
But we are not behind schedule.
We are not behind schedule.
When do we get back into the boardroom?
So that's a good question. I have yet to speak with Dr. Christian this evening, but I did speak with Drew and his team because we set up the tables again and we brought the chairs back. And I know Mr. Cahill's been working to get the sound system back working. So, again, I was going to speak with Dr. Christian. We could, if we possibly wanted to, we could do like a May meeting in there. I think we could hit that target. But I don't know if you want to.
From now.
It still looks a little bit like I can.
Oh, it's the
Are
acoustics.
really not great for listening.
I thought it was in traffic. Today was quick. Oh, today was quick.
Well, you got a great path here. This is great for you. You just got to go out and drive and make a left.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
No, listen, I was gonna ask some questions, but literally, like, it's all there.
Yeah.
Like, I was gonna ask about, like, when they start doing inspections for occupancy, but you already presented it, so I don't personally have any questions.
That's awesome. My only question was what he's reluctant
What,
to say.
is there anything else that we can do for you to keep it going?
No,
Like,
I really appreciate that. Thank you. I've gotten tremendous support from Dr. Christian, Dr. Rock, the whole administration. Dr. Christian has asked me several times, like, why do you think we got to where we got pretty quickly? And honestly, it is the district office willing to move. If they don't move, we're demoing that whole first floor in what I call piecemeal. We're taking pieces of sheetrock out, and when the district office agreed to make that leap, which I know was not easy, When they left, we were able to actually open up a wall and bring in heavy equipment and make demolition true demolition. So we really got out ahead of schedule because of that.
I think that helped, and then the original plan when we started taking down the exterior gym wall.
Yes.
Right after PSSA's last year.
Yes.
And making sure that the building was still secure because we were in session for another month and a half, but that was very detailed work. It's not just going in and knocking on the wall, because they had to preserve multiple columns, and the gentleman that was behind that
He was
operating
very
the machine
talented.
was like super, he could be on any dart team that I ever played
Yeah.
on, because he was very careful to maintain the integrity of the steel.
Yes.
And that probably helped us with about 2 to 3
It
weeks of
did.
work.
And again, I know you don't want to hear it, but you did too, because that day I said, Dr. Christian said, we're not taking the front of the building down. We're only taking the side. And I said, okay. And that was at like 8:30 in the morning. And I went up to him around 11:30. And he said, you're going to ask me to take down the front of the building, aren't you?
It was a little easier. It looks like a big hole in the side of the building.
And I said, well, yeah, we're kind of here. We got the equipment.
Joe was courteous and waited
I'm
3
going to
hours.
say, I don't hear everything from our people. It doesn't filter up to me, but like usually when there's something going on, you're going to hear some complaints.
Yeah.
But I haven't heard one negative comment about any of this stuff. So and you're very detailed with all of your stuff. Like I said, you almost read my mind with some of the answers that you provided.
Yeah.
So I really feel like this is a great project.
Just some things and Joe would never say this, but kudos to Joe and his team, and Rose Rock and Mike Tolger and the teachers and staff. There has been minimal disruption, and I've lived through renovations, and there's always significant disruption. And so Joe has also has met with all the primes and reminded them when PSSAs are, reminded them when they have to be quiet, when they can't start too early. If one of them starts too early, he's on them right away, or too loud during the day as far as drilling and things like that. So he and Nate and Bob from our clerk of the works have really been a trio that stayed on top of, and we're working with very good primes too.
We are.
And it's not like,
Very good primes.
in my opinion, it's one of the cleanest projects I've seen.
Yeah.
Bob took me around the other day and he goes, Friday's our cleanup day, why'd you come by Thursday? I said, it still looked pretty clean to me. Secondly, just in coordination with the board's budget development, you'll hear Mark next week talk about having 4 teachers in the budget. We knew this was coming, right? That's why we're doing this. So Rosemary and I are meeting with Rose and Mike Talbert next week as building principals, because we know at a minimum we're gaining 90 to 100 kids next year in this building. So that's 4 teachers, pretty simple, right? That's just classroom. So could it be ultimately an equivalent of 5 teachers, because we may have to add a part-time art or part-time music? It could be, but we have some, we'll be able to work with the budget to make that work. We're also watching kindergarten enrollment very carefully. If kindergarten enrollment is 500, then we're gonna have to modify the budget. If kindergarten enrollment's like it's been the past couple of years, around 410, 420, we should be in good shape. There could be possibility somebody gets transferred up to the building. A lot of that will play out over the next several months, but we have a plan in place for that. And then ultimately, Joe knows this better than I do, when teachers start to see, and this is a good thing, when they start to see the classrooms take shape, everybody starts asking, ooh, do I get one of those rooms? So, in addition to special education, classroom teachers, special area teachers, increased enrollment, we really want to take advantage of the new rooms on the first floor. If you've ever walked around CES, many of you have because your kids have gone through there. If you're on the 2nd or 3rd floor, the interior classrooms, while we get the most out of them when we do, obviously they don't have windows. They're not as big as the exterior classrooms. So we really want to fill all the exterior classrooms in the building, so every classroom has that natural daylighting. It's just, we saw it with this building compared to the old middle school. It just makes a big difference, right? And we'll still use those interior rooms for small group learning, those types of things. So, we appreciate the board when it approved this. We knew we needed 10 to 12 minimum classrooms, but we're going to have 16 instructional spaces, and we will use them. you also could use, we talked about some of the rooms, if we had to do a little sound attenuation in the future as the music program expands. You know, you could use them as lesson rooms. There's, you know, I'm not worried about the staff finding a way to use instructional space. And then ultimately, you know, the next step is then moving all the teachers. So that'll come up this summer, because the goal is, as Joe mentioned with his benchmarks, to start next August, late August, ready to go. And use those instructional spaces, and in addition to all the cleaning they have to do, we have to move everybody over the summer. So, great progress, still some work to do, but very happy with the project.
Can I just ask a question? When we hire, as something with the process, but when we hire the teachers that we need for that building, and so they've not been in that building before, and they're in a room that may be new construction, do we give them time ahead of when we do, the rest of the staff comes in?
Absolutely.
Set up? 'Cause, okay.
As soon as and we've been very good, and the board's been great, and we'll post positions in mid-March in anticipation of budget approval. And then as soon as that budget's approved, we're 80–90% through the interview process. So if we have you hired by May or June, we welcome you. We welcome our young teachers to come in and get in the rooms, get copies of curriculum, and anybody who's seen K-5 teachers, they're in their rooms all summer. They pop in nonstop. I mean, they're really in there in August.
I've even heard some rumors of principals making them sort of take a little time off and not come in because they want to be in there so much. Yeah.
We kind of beg for it too.
It's really important.
Because we're like, when they come back, sometimes we're not done cleaning yet.
Right.
And we're like, you just give us a couple more days.
And the next, you know, we have to coordinate with all the, I walked in the other day and I never saw so many wires coming out. I was pulling all the wire and I forgot how much is up in the ceilings and everything.
We ran all new data wire, so everything that was on the first floor
So Joe
got
and Drew
pulled.
had a coordination meeting, because once the electricians get through, they're the last ones through. All that tech has to be installed. And so a lot of it's on order right now. And we have some of the teachers, remember Mark talked about moving from interactive whiteboards, which is right up there, to the all-in-one. So we have about, 7 or 8 teachers piloting that right now. So I talked to Jared Kubinoff the other day, and he goes, I'm trying to find something wrong with this thing, but I love it, and the kids love it. I'm like, well, that's what I want to hear, like, kick the tires on it, so.
And it is the future. We did look at a lot of different school districts, and a lot of them would love to go to it, but can't financially support it yet, but that is the direction where everyone's going.
But it's been really, knock on wood, really clean project so far.
If I can, just while we were at it, just to remind everyone, you know, we can go on, and we're not done. And like Dr. Christian said, lots of work to do. So, but I just want to make sure that the board, you know, Gene Kelly, Jim Lyons, Tim McDonald, Lori McCoy, the food service people, everybody's kind of been impacted at a certain time. And lastly, not forget you guys, you know, everyone has been really supportive. I hear nightmare stories of other people in my position with boards that are, you know, not as kind as you guys have been through the process. So I'm grateful for you guys too.
Thank you.
I have a concerned constituency asking when the bike path will be reopened.
Yes, the path, we did say we'd find a way this spring, so.
We'll find a way.
We'll find a way.
Yeah.
Is this constituent of voting age?
He is not.
He has influence over true voters.
So then the next item on the agenda is Dr. Christian and Mark and I sat down. The complete 5-year improvement plan is on the on-board docs under the facilities library, so it is up there. But all we really wanted to talk about tonight was just to kind of review the 26 priority list to let everybody kind of know where we are and the projects that we'll be trying to attack this summer. It's real small print, but if you have it on your computer, you can kind of see. The bottom is the roofing projects that we already approved a couple of months ago. So really the body of the document is everything above that that you're seeing that we'd like to get done. So you have some updating of the HVAC controls. The auditorium upgrades are, and I think, Will, we've talked about that before, about the lighting and the carpet and some of the things in the auditorium, because the exit lights are old and we can't repair them. So some of them things we'd like to get started on this summer and start doing some repairs in there. So again, all projects, and some of the stuff, again, that you're going to look at are things that, changing classrooms. There's a few classrooms in some of the schools that still aren't LED lighting. That has a return on investment. Not only is it just a project, so there is an ROI involved with any time you do something like that. And I usually will seek some kind of grant from PICO to get the fixtures for relatively a really significant lower cost than you would buy them if you were just buying them without a grant. Because everybody wants you to be on LED. So it's not many areas. We've done it through all the projects, just so you know. We've done it. All these lights are LED, but there's some spots that we'd still like to get to. And then just for the fun of it, I'll track some KWH usage and kind of see if I can show the board that, we do get to save some money by changing that lighting. But again, it's basically something for you guys just to digest, that we have your approval to move forward to start these projects this summer. Because this would be the time of the year where we've already gone out and got numbers, but now I want to try and lock in and work with all of our summer programs. What school can we be at? What school can't we be at? What's the time frame we can do certain things and not do certain things? So, again, I think we really went through and dissected the list as best as we could. And, again, Mark wants to lay out certain things a little bit different, like where he's showing you all the carpet projects in one area. And I think that's just to highlight that section. And we're trying to get on almost like a replacement program. Because in the kindergarten, it's obviously much more different than it's going to be in the 5th grade. So when they're sitting on the floor and if they spill a drink or something. Now the good news is, like if you're looking here, these are 18 by 18 tiles. So you can get what we call a duck knife, pull one end up, and I can put another one back down if it actually goes bad. So that's one of the reasons why we like the tile carpet, because if something gets stained, we have attic stock, which is an additional supply. We'll come in and we'll just change that. But did you have any questions? I don't know if you had a chance to review that. Sure.
Just a clarification question. At the bottom of miscellaneous, there's something that says Colonial Elementary secure entrance for 20,000. What does that mean, secure entrance?
So Colonial Elementary School, what we talked about was...
It's Conshohocken Elementary.
Oh, Conshohocken, I'm sorry, yes, yeah. So I spoke with Dr. Christian and he agreed, like we wanted to just take a look at everyone's main entrance and see if there was ways to improve it. When you get into Conshohocken Elementary, you're in their little lobby and then you got to get buzzed into the building before they can see you. So we really just want to take that block wall. If you walk in that front door that's to the left, turn the receptionist. So it's maybe some furniture, what we call a lentil. So we would saw cut the block, and a lot of that work we can do internally. But what it would do is it would give you a glass window that now whoever's working there can see the front door, see what's happening, see who's coming in, and then you see them using lobby guard. It would just be more efficient. So we just thought with CES getting done, we were going to just continue to gradually look at every building to see if we could make some upgrades. And that one seems rather simple, so I think we should probably tackle it soon.
Increase visibility.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have two quick ones. Does your team do the carpeting at the elementary schools or no?
No.
No, okay. All right.
No.
My son will be in Ridge Park next year. Who knows what he's going to do? You might want to wait.
Wait, I'll find out what room he's going.
Yeah, we need some carpet repair. CMS has a seal coat parking lot. Is that?
Yeah.
Is
So.
that finishing something here? Or?
Yeah. So I mean, it's a great question. I mean, Dr. Christian asked me the same question, and so did Mark. So when you put down new asphalt, you generally wait at least a year for the oil that's in the asphalt to cure before you want to actually give it a seal coat. So they always recommend when you put the new asphalt down to seal coat it, but so we've waited longer, so we know the oil's dry. So it just basically is going to be like your seal coat in your driveway, but we're going to seal coat the whole lot, and then you restripe it. And that should actually help us maintenance-wise for many years to come. You could not seal coat it, but again, you get a couple storms like we just had, and it's 6 degrees, and you're putting down the amount of salt that we did for that storm. It won't take long for that asphalt to get chewed up.
But just from the optics of a new building, new parking lot, and then you're already doing work on it, it was purposely held off until this time.
Yeah.
Actually, Paul, do we use rock salt or like I don't?
No, we use the calcium chloride. So it's not actually rock salt.
No,
I have a
no,
bad
no.
habit of just saying salt, but it is calcium chloride.
Yeah, but, yeah, rock salt's terrible.
Yeah, it is.
Right,
And the calcium chloride's friendlier, it works in lower temperatures, but it still has its negative draw on, when we're plowing and we're digging into things on top of it. It still will, it doesn't hurt as much as salt, but it's really not still asphalt friendly.
No, okay.
Right, yeah. Any questions?
The roof, we approved the roof, I think.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah.
Um,
I am hoping I will probably be, not probably, I'll be bringing numbers for that and looking for approval next month. Because we've met with contractors, it's going out, so we're in the process
So
of
we're
getting
doing
it.
the last 4 years next month, the next 4 years.
Yes,
Of
right.
that 5-year plan. There's just so much that would have to be ordered and planning that has to take place. We wanted you to see the one priorities, but there are, in years 2 through 5, which will be shared next month, and we'll get that out to the board before the meeting. There's some latitude to move things within that if we need to. But really, just to get started, we need to get, Joe and his team have to get going really by March to get
Yeah.
going on this.
Yeah, you gotta set up your contractors now, if you're gonna get because they're in the same boat. And then I always like to say to keep the number, the longer you wait, we're kind of at their mercy. So if we can get on their schedule and they know they have summer work here, that number stays good, and I don't hear we had a 10% increase, and I know what that means. They got 4 other jobs and we got pushed further down the road, so in order to do it, they're gonna want more money. Yeah, so, any other questions? All right, that's the last item I have on the agenda.
Thank you so much.
Any questions from the board? Any questions, public comments?
Currently not at this time.
All right, so we're gonna
What's your
adjourn
new
this
favorite
meeting.
line?
Thank you.
Thank you.